We're going to try to get a read of this with Lisa Daftari on what's at stake here. She's the Middle East analyst looking at all of this, as well as separate reports that we're getting that the president's going to make an announcement on Iran tomorrow. And we're told right now that he leans, although that could always change, toward nixing the deal, Lisa, and not just fixing this deal. If that is the case, then what?
Well, you're looking at a president who hasn't been shy about communicating the fact that this deal is an awful deal. And that's just not the way that this president works. We have John Kerry, who at the very best is trying to undermine the policy set forth by the current administration. And at the very worst is something else at play. With regards to Donald Trump, what we don't know is whether he will nix or fix this deal. But what we do know is that he's going to use leverage in any way possible to get something out of the Iranians at this moment and to piggyback on the sentiments of others, and not just Bibi Netanyahu. You had Macron, you had Angela Merkel come to the White House, and they expressed the fact that this deal is not working. In addition to the fact that they think we should keep this deal in place, they think that it's not working. So I think that President Trump will definitely...
I think you're right, Lisa. They have acknowledged that, and they're frustrated with it. But I think to start from scratch or to rip it up would be a bad idea. Now, we don't know what ultimately the president will do. He can surprise you. Expectations can change mightily. Absolutely. But if he were to rip it up, I mean, a lot of people interpreted that as an excuse for oil prices to go sky high. They've since stabilized a tad, but on the belief that this is going to lead to discord in the Middle East. Do you think it will?
I don't think it will lead to discourse in the Middle East. I think either way, we have a lot of uncertainty right now, whether he nixes it or fixes it. But what will happen is that we will have to have a discussion about sanctions. We'll have to have a discussion about human rights abuses in Iran. We'll have to have a discussion, all these uncomfortable topics that were never brought up to begin with. Look at the comparison here between the Obama administration and the Trump administration. You have the Trump administration, for example, in what they're trying to do with North Korea. They're taking a look at reality to try to come up with an outcome. What the Obama administration did in the case of the Iran deal is they started with an outcome, and then what they did was manipulate reality to get to that outcome and to get that Iran deal. And in manipulating that reality, they sidestepped the fact that Iran is the #1 state sponsor of terrorism, the fact that they have hands in Syria and in Lebanon and in Yemen and across the globe.
I don't think they ignored all those developments. You're quite right to say that, and a lot of critics said that they grudgingly signed on to something the Obama administration included in those 6 others who signed on to it, aware of all those problems. Do you think, though, that by nixing this and starting from scratch, especially when Iran has already gotten all the money it wanted, that it's going to be compelled to change?
No, I think the Iran deal has learned to work around the loopholes of sanctions. They've learned to work around the pressure of the international community, including Israel. Bibi Netanyahu could stand at that podium and give a great presentation of all the facts. But when you have the European Union, for example, and many Democrats putting this pressure on President Trump, it will be very difficult to use that leverage to get Iran to change. Now, does Iran want to stay in the international community with regards to trade, with regards to good, just having that good or normalized relations? It doesn't look like they do when they're still flexing their muscles. When we had hostages or Western hostages in Iranian prisons, it tells a very different story.
Because we're coming to a break.